My daughter, the Thespian. Wait a minute, Darlene. I talked to Katie just an hour ago about this evening, and she said it was not that big a deal. I told her it was going to be really hard for me to make it, and she seemed to be fine with that. So what are you trying to tell me now? I'm telling you that your daughter is graduating next week, and the Durango High School theater program is the main reason she's stayed fairly happy the last 2 years. The climax of her high school career will be tonight at the Thespian Awards ceremony. I returned to Durango a week or two early this year, precisely because of Katie's graduation and the events surrounding it. Nobody had bothered to tell me about this one, however. I arrived in town mid-afternoon after the usual grueling 2-day drive from the coast to find that most of the power was out in my house. I spent a frustrating several hours fruitlessly trying to find an electrician to come out. One small circuit was still operating, giving me power in only a few places through the house. I was exhausted, had not yet unpacked, and didn't think I could muster the energy to go into town for what would surely be a long and mostly monotonous program. I told Darlene as much. "All right," she sighed. "I just hope you won't regret not being there." I checked my watch. Already 7:30. The program was to begin at 8. No way could I do it. I lay down wearily for a nap, only to spring up as my body absorbed the icy cold temperature of the water mattress. Its heater was obviously plugged into one of the inoperative circuits. Great, another problem I'd have to deal with. 20 minutes later, Darlene's words still echoing in my ears, I was astonished to find myself pulling on clean clothes, climbing back into my car with no supper, speeding back down the highway into town. I walked into the auditorium at 8:15. One of the special underclass performances scheduled to precede the award ceremony was going on. As it ended and the house lights came up, I spotted Katie in the front row. I left my seat to greet her. She saw me heading her way, leaped towards me with a smile a yard wide, saying, "Papo, you did make it after all. Cool enough. I'm so glad you changed your mind." She gave me a huge hug before heading back to sit with her friends down front. I didn't change my mind, I thought. Something changed it for me. I think it might have been Darlene. I've learned to listen to her a lot better than I could when we were married. At that moment, I spotted her sitting 2 rows in front of me. I moved down and took the vacant seat next to her. As I had predicted, the evening dragged along. Another special performance up on stage. Finally, introduction of faculty, plus all of the Thespian Society officers. Each one of them gave a speech. Most were barely okay. Katie, as secretary, had her turn. She was by far the most impressive. Then, finally, the awards. Dozens and dozens of team letters, just like they give for sports. Freshmen, sophomore, juniors, finally seniors. Katie walked forward to receive hers. I applauded briefly. I applauded proudly. Next were special awards for the society officers. Katie received one of those. She smiled in our direction as she came back off the stage. I applauded even more proudly. Then Tony Walker, the new drama coach, was talking about an award for Thespian of the Year. He said it had been so close between two seniors that he was giving two this year. Matt Magis, who had been this year's president, though Darlene whispered to me that Katie had actually done most of his work, came forward amidst loud applause. And Ted Baum, co-Thespian of the Year. The auditorium rang with wave after wave of cheers. Katie clearly was a popular choice. I was standing, my hands sore from clapping. Finally, it grew quiet. Mr. Walker again at the podium. He began to explain about the Thespian Hall of Fame. I knew all about that. I had seen their full-color 8x10 pictures displayed inside glass showcases in the lobby outside the auditorium. Durango High School had a long, proud history of outstanding dramatics classes, nationally renowned, led by these giants. Many times I admired the 15 or 20 faces, each with a brief personal bio on permanent display there. Many had found further success in college and beyond. Mr. Walker's voice brought me back to the moment at hand. And this year, I am pleased to announce to you we will be adding to the Hall of Fame Ted Baum. For an instant, I sat stunned. As cheers erupted around me, I felt a lump grow in my throat. Somehow I was on my feet, tears on my cheeks. Katie was at the front, mounting the steps to the stage, triumphant in perhaps her finest high school hour. I turned to Darlene, who was as radiant as Katie. God, I croaked, barely able to speak. I almost didn't come tonight. Thank you for getting me here. I didn't get you here, she replied. You did that. I only said what I needed to say.